want to talk to you guys today about something a little bit different. I want to focus less on ourselves and more on kids. And the reason I want to do that is I was talking to a couple parents, not parents here, but a couple parents that I met while I was walking around the plaza outside. And well, I asked them, what are your kids into? Do they play sports? Are they musicians? What are they? Because every kid is something. Because that's what we do. We want to raise our kids to be something cool or something unique, something that they can take with them for the rest of their life. I noticed, and this is something that I've been noticing, but I just after talking to these parents, I was like, I gotta talk about it. The kids nowadays do so much. And when I say so much, I mean most kids are involved now in like 2 or 3 different sports, sometimes going on at once. Meanwhile, they're also doing an instrument, and they're learning to sing, they're learning to dance, they're learning this, they're learning that, and it's for me. On one hand, I know that it's actually been it's not proven, but study has suggested that kids that do so much, actually it benefits them later on because they're able to wear many different hats, as they grow older. They know how to balance things well. So that's good. But on the other hand, I notice there's one thing lacking out of all these stories that I hear from parents. And that's that their kid, joined some kiddie karate program when they were like 3. And then since then, the kid didn't like it so much that they quit and the kid doesn't train martial arts. And that to me is like, it's just a huge red flag. It's big no. And the reason being is how are we going to potentially raise our kids to be able to defend themselves? Because statistically, people that never ever do self-defense classes growing up won't do them later on in life, statistically. Now, that's not everybody, because obviously there are many adults who do pick up self-defense because they've always wanted to. But the majority of people who don't grow up doing it won't ever do it. And that might even be you. And that's not a stab at anybody. That's just how it is. It's reality. And so we, as a nation, as a society, community, this small little community that we are here as a part of this huge nation, we need to be arming ourselves to be able to defend ourselves. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a gun or a knife, but you have to know how to use these weapons that God gave us. And, to further that point, what does self-defense training do for kids? It gives them the physical ability and the techniques, the understanding to be able to physically defend themselves. They know how to. Most kids, their dad might tell them, all right, you ball your fist up, you put your weight into it, make sure you rotate your hips, and you hit them as hard as you can, and keep your hands up like this because you don't want them to hit you. But dad doesn't sit there and practice that with them, 3 days out of the week for a year. Dad practices it with them twice in 6 months. Because kid gets hit at school and dad gives them that pep talk. Kids need to know and practice regularly how to defend themselves. Because should the time ever come that they have to physically defend themselves against an attack, not just a normal bully that pokes and makes fun, but I mean an attack, they need to know how to do it. And then even beyond that, and just as important, if not more important, the kids have the confidence now to stand up for themselves. Because where someone might otherwise, and this is kid or adult, someone might otherwise, sitting in their car think, yeah, if this guy does this, I'm going to do this. And then the time hits them, they freeze and panic because they've never been put in that situation before. We can't have that. A kid can't be put in a violent situation and then freeze and get the tar beat out of them because they didn't know what to do. We have to give them the ability and the confidence to do it. Let me give you a scenario. Because most people, most schools, and the way society works nowadays, most kids are taught to either run or hide, and then as soon as possible go tell a teacher or another responsible adult. Now let's define responsible adult, right? But that's what they're taught to do. Well, the scenario being, let's say, you know, there's this kid that just hates your kid. Whatever the reason, kids are silly, so whatever the reason is. And this other kid, maybe he has a bad home life, and all he really knows is violence. But your kid has never been exposed to it. They've never learned self-defense. They've never learned how to actually fight. So they're pretty wet behind the ears. Now this other kid sees your kid walk in the bathroom. They go in, they lock the door, and then they proceed to beat the crap out of your kid because they didn't like him. Believe it or not, that was a story out of a middle school about 3 months ago. Anyway, they just beat the crap out of your kid, right? Now, your kid, A, couldn't run, B, couldn't hide, and C, could not go tell a teacher until it was all over. Now, your kid, depending on how badly they get beaten, might not even be able to leave the bathroom. Maybe somebody has to find him and call 911. Or even if they can get up and walk away, what's that going to do to them psychologically? They just got locked in a bathroom and had the tar beat out of them. You don't just act normal after that. It's not how we work. So let's say scenario 2. Now your kid has been training in self-defense. They have the confidence to be able to defend themselves. They know when it's appropriate to defend themselves because they have a good teacher. And then they have that punk bully who locks that door, confronts them, pushes them into that corner. Your kid says, "Don't touch me again." And the punk bully does it again. And your kid proceeds to defend themselves as effectively as they can, the way that they've been taught to. Unlocks the door, runs to the front office, tells whoever's there, the office manager, principal, whoever, what just happened. And now your kid, A, really believes in themselves because, wow, I really did it. I can defend myself. And not only do they believe in themselves, they're not emotionally and psychologically scarred. They just had the tar beat out of them. Which would you rather as a parent? Now, I'm inclined to believe that you would rather your kid be that second scenario and not the first. But what are you doing to prepare your kid to exist in that second scenario and not the first? Are they taking singing lessons? Are they they playing baseball? Or are they learning to defend themselves? Or are they doing it all? And that's fine too. But the big question is, are they learning to defend themselves? Or are they learning to really stand up and fight someone who's bigger, stronger, angrier? Are they prepared for that? Because if they're not, that kind of falls on you as a parent. And again, it's not to call anybody out. I don't want that. But what I want is to wake America up, and that starts with our small community. We need to make sure that our kids are prepared to physically handle an attack. Because let's face facts, we live in a world of violence. We don't live in a world of sunshine and rainbows, no matter what the media might want to tell you. We don't live in a world where everybody gets along. So should somebody not get along with your kid needs to know how to handle it. So my offer to every little kid that comes in, here at Fearless Nation, every kid that comes in gets an automatic 2 free weeks. Try it out, experience it, see what it's all about. I guarantee the kids are gonna love it. It's pretty hard for kids to not enjoy what we do. It's pretty fun. But B, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to see, wow, this does make a difference. If you don't live close enough to come to Fearless Nation, call me, message me, whatever. There's plenty of schools that are good schools. They're not all kiddie karate. I'll point you in the right direction. But the kids, as cliche as it sounds, the kids are our future. And if the kids are our future, we need to prepare them to have a future. You hear me? Because they can be as smart as anyone else in the world, but if they get beaten into a coma because, they went to their first high school party and they flirted with the wrong person. Whatever. Stuff like that happens, man. They need to know what they're doing. So, I hope that this hit home with some of you guys. And even more so, I really hope you guys understand where this is really coming from. I want the youth of today, youth of our nation, to be a powerful and influential future for our nation. But if we raise a bunch of kids that don't want to stand up for themselves, or even worse, can't, we're not going to have a very strong future. So let's protect our kids. Let's teach them how to protect themselves, most importantly. And let's see a bright future. All right. You guys have a good day. And to our awesome Fearless Nation students, I look forward to seeing you guys back on the mat. Kida.